Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are having a fantastic day, wherever we are around the world. But in the Liverpool world of things, of course, it is getting very grim at the moment. Of course, Liverpool have just drawn by 3 goals each to Leeds United. And look, the only word I can use for that type of performance is pathetic, and it was simply pathetic. Look, let's not get it twisted, fair play to Leeds, because Leeds got back in the game. They took the game to Liverpool. But yet again, individual mistakes from certain players, yet again, letting this team down. Again, let's talk about it straight off the bat. Let's talk about Ibrahim Konate. What on earth are you doing, Ibu? What on earth is he doing? We're 2-0 up in the game. We're cruising. Liverpool are doing very well in trying to control the game. And then Ibu Konate then goes and concedes a penalty. Goes on to do the most stupidest thing ever when there was no need for it. There was no need to give the penalty away the way he did. And yet he did, and Liverpool's collapse ended up happening. And even for the second goal, you could blame Curtis Jones. You could blame, for me, I think Konate should have closed him down a lot more again. But there's so many individual mistakes happening consistently with this team at the minute. And look, obviously, the main guy that's going to get the worst of it, I would say, is Arne Slot. Arne Slot's going to get questions. He's going to get, again, I think just now on Sky Sports, again, people talking about, individual mistakes, talking about, what went wrong, what went right. Again, you can blame Arne Slot. And I think that is, totally reasonable at the moment, because this team at the minute, I don't know what's happened, but we've got so many problems. It genuinely gives everyone a headache of how bad we are at the moment. We should never be conceding 3 goals to Leeds. And that's not a disrespect to Leeds, but the way we've played, the way we were commanding the game for 60, 70 minutes plus. The last half an hour, we just went completely terrible again, and it's awful to watch. It's definitely terrible to see, and it's not only, I'm not just going to single out Ibrahim Konate. Look, there was even a few times in the first half. Cody Gakpo, again, why on earth is Cody Gakpo starting games for Liverpool? He's not good enough to be Liverpool's left winger at the moment. At the present moment in time, yes, Liverpool, again, Cody, I think, got an assist, but the amount of chances, certainly in that first half, and probably a bit in the second half as well, where Liverpool could have been miles out of the game. And look, the 2 goals that we end up scoring with Hugo Ekitike, we end up, one of them's Connor Bradley's a fantastic cross in. Again, very lucky that, Hugo was onside. But again, the first goal from the game, taking the opportunity, the Leeds end up obviously conceding themselves because they make the mistake, and then Hugo goes on and ends up scoring the goal. But it's just a frustrating manner around it, because we just look like a team that can be pushed over, that is pathetic, non-physical. We look hopeless, and there's just no answers at the moment. And that's the real frustrating thing about this team at the moment. There is no answers for Liverpool's problems, apart from Liverpool are our own worst enemies. And there's multiple things that's wrong with the club at the moment, with the team, I should say, because we've spent so much money in the summer and we've got worse, and we have visibly got worse, and it's not looking good. And of course, who will get the flack for that? It will be Arne Slot. I've already seen masses amount of people on social media saying that Arne Slot out, and do you know what? I can't argue against it, because at the moment Liverpool are awful. Yet again, today, like I mentioned, teams in terms of team selection, Federico Chiesa, no minutes. Mohamed Salah, no minutes. There was players, brought on. Isak didn't do anything. Again, we brought on Endo. We brought on Alexander Isak to try and, solidify the result, to try and, end up having, all 3 points after we scored, to that third goal as well. Again, didn't really matter, because, again, set pieces, long balls, Liverpool are terrible at this season. We cannot defend. And it's abysmal to watch. It's pathetic to watch. And there's no fixing it whatsoever. There is completely no fixing this Liverpool team at the present moment in time. And, what happens? What can happen? I'll let you guys decide that, because for me right now, I'm just fully frustrated with the performance. The result also, but just mainly the performance, mainly us not having any fight. You know, we'd faced teams last season under Jurgen Klopp as well. You know, I'm not saying it's a full, you know, Jurgen Klopp, Arne Slot debate, but teams would fear Liverpool. Teams would fear us going to places and so on. There's no fight in this team at the minute. You know, there's no mentality within this team. And how does that change? You know, I don't think it can change, in my honest opinion. And look, for me, there are so many things wrong to fix that they might be too late for them to fix. And look, obviously this is just a full-on rant. I'm very angry about the result and the performance. And of course, there'll be people calling for Arne Slot's head, and I think, you know, I can't argue against it. I think, you know, everybody has a right to shout that at the minute. You know, I've been fully backing the manager, but just the performance, the results. Again, Liverpool have won 2 games since the 20th of September. It's not good enough, you know, and it's not good enough. And look, he's had credit in the bank because of, again, last season going on to win the Premier League. Liverpool, in my opinion, last season, if it wasn't for PSG, would have gone on to win the Champions League. I think we were that good last season. But this season, we look a complete and utter mess. And I think it's a carbon copy of how we kind of looked under Brendan Rodgers. And I think you cast your minds back to that. Yes, there's difference in, you know, in quality, I would say, in terms of the signings we have made, because I think the signings that we have made are top quality. But I just think the season, you know, last season was kind of Brendan Rodgers 13-14, where, you know, we end up with challenging for the league. Obviously, we win the league last season, but this season we just look out of it. And the big question for the football club will be, how long do we give this current staff, or where do we currently stand at the moment? Because in a minute, with the games coming up thick and fast, we're going to be out of the Champions League conversation in terms of getting Champions League. You know, I've seen a couple of people today, because Arsenal lost, oh, maybe the title race is back on. Not a chance. Liverpool are nowhere near the title race. Liverpool are barely in a Champions League race at the moment. You know, you know, you've got Arsenal, City, Villa at the moment, excellent. At the moment, you've got Chelsea, you know, around there as well. There'll be other teams that will be pecking up the order as well. Liverpool look miles off of it. They look like a mid-table team. They actually, to be fair, that's actually flattering. We look like a relegation team at the moment, and it's not good enough. And look, obviously, please, everyone, indulge, you know, what's in me, because look, it is a full-on rant, this video. And I'm just fuming and frustrating with so many things at the moment. I think everybody is. But fully, I do hope we can change things around. But we've been saying that now for the last, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and it's not been changing at all. But look, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. I'd be very intrigued to know your guys' thoughts overall down in the comment section, because look, I think many people will be fuming like me around this game and around the situation at the moment. But look, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your days anyway. Hopefully everyone has a good rest of the weekend. Of course, Formula One, if anyone's an F1 fan, obviously this weekend will be exciting. But for the Reds at the minute, it's an absolute crap show at the minute. I was going to swear then, but it has been absolutely terrible, hasn't it? But look, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your weekends. And if you are new around here, please do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ta-ra.